Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it is time for another edition of Let's Argue, where I hop on the internet and I take your unpopular opinions, your tough questions, and your hot takes. I respond to the best ones. It's what we're about to do. TikTok destroyed Steve Lacy. Oh, artist got popular and I don't like it. With that being said, I feel like there's an argument to be made that Steve Lacy blowing up on TikTok has opened him up to maybe like a lot of casual fans or assholes or people who he doesn't really like, appreciate at his concerts being like really obnoxious and not really being super respectful. That so much is true, but that kind of is the issue with blowing up and has been the issue with blowing up no matter what kind of social or technological paradigm that we're in the midst of. But no, I don't think TikTok is ruining Steve Lacy. Maybe Steve Lacy past this point will see more opportunities to water down his sound and sell out. But considering like how far Steve Lacy has gone up until this point and the success that he has been able to achieve just by kind of sticking to his guns and doing his own thing, I don't know. I don't think that's likely to happen. Do not drink at concerts. It will take away from your enjoyment of the show. How about this? Let people do what the fuck they're gonna fucking do. Sure, you could say that getting completely shit-faced at a concert will ruin, your ability to enjoy the show, so on and so forth. But getting completely shit-faced during any activity will most likely ruin that activity or make getting engaged with that activity more difficult. That kind of applies across the board. Like there's certainly a very bold line between having a few drinks, getting a little buzz while you're out and being social, being at a show, and just getting like completely fucking drunk to the point where you're falling off the stool at the bar. Like nobody's advocating for that or saying that that's cool or that should be done. I don't even drink and I'm saying that. Also consider that a lot of venues make quite a bit of money off of, sales at the bar to kind of keep things going, keep things afloat, gives them the opportunity to employ more people as well. Do you think the world of recorded music can legitimately last as long as time? Or will there be a day where humanity steps back and says, we've literally made every possible song? I mean, if we were like strictly talking in a compositional sense, no, there's like still lots of crazy possibilities for songs and musical compositions. However, it doesn't so much seem like that because the things that appeal compositionally within the world of popular music tends to be so narrow, so it kind of feels like we're hearing the same shit over and over and over, and sometimes from a technical standpoint, we kind of are. However, with that being said, it's not just compositions that kind of define the sound of music for every generation. It's also, sonics and aesthetics, and those seemingly change and swap out as technology evolves and instrumental palettes and preferences that people have when they want to hear popular music or whatever kind of music evolves. And for sure, there's like still room for experimentation that we don't fully know or understand yet in probably all artistic mediums, honestly. So no, I don't think there's ever going to be a point where humanity, as long as there's a will and a way to create artistically, I don't think there's ever going to be a point where people just like give up entirely on creating music because, we've done that. Especially since a lot of music, especially popular music, comes down to messaging, specifically messaging that appeals to whatever generation of people that music is being made for. And I'm sure like at some point you're going to have younger people who are just going to feel like, I feel like all this older music doesn't really appeal to me, doesn't really speak to me, isn't really talking about the life and the experience that I'm having. Let me try to either make or listen to music that is mirroring my experience in some way. Juice WRLD is judged far too heavily based on his catalog of released music. His extremely expansive collection of unreleased music is so much better than what is out, and with all the music he's made over just a few years, he's one of the best music artists of all time. Even if this was true at this point, considering like how things have gone thus far generally with posthumous releases and with Juice WRLD with posthumous releases, all this unreleased music that you're talking about, I don't know if I would advocate for putting it out. And on top of it, like, I don't know if it would really change the overall vibe or perception of Juice WRLD on the whole, because Like, not only is what you're talking about here true to a degree, but on top of that, like, the internet has this way of kind of narrowing down the exposure that people have to a certain popular thing in such a way so that you only see like a small sliver of it. I mean, of all of Juice WRLD's released stuff currently, and, you know, like recordings of him performing and freestyles and so on and so forth, like, clearly a super versatile artist. If you want to actually know about those pockets and pieces of his career and those elements of his versatility, like, they're out there if you want to find them. But people aren't seeking them out, either due to, you know, a very kind of surface casual level of fandom, or the internet algorithms on any given platform is just not really putting that in front of their faces. Especially since I think the marketing around Juice WRLD still is alive and well and is very focused on getting people on board with more of that, you know, very straightforward emo trap sound, because that's what he hit with and that's what does the most numbers. So if we were actually to create a campaign where we fully expose the versatility of Juice WRLD, there's going to have to be a lot more gears turning than merely for the music to be formally released. Avenged Sevenfold is underrated and stands far above their other butt metal peers. Nightmare is genuinely a great album, and with solid songwriting, guitar work, their thrash influence helps this a lot, and honestly, they deserve more credit. To be frank, when you have to defend something but then simultaneously like label it as butt rock, I feel like you're kind of rolling the boulder up the hill at that point. You've already admitted defeat. You know, it's like, hey guys, this thing is like really underrated. This is not fully appreciated. You know, like this is way better than all the other butt rock out there. Okay, the point at which something gets called butt rock, you're pretty much like, yeah, you know, this is going to, no matter how good it is, hit the creative and you know, aesthetic limitations of all other butt rock that's at some point. Maybe it is arguable that Avenged Sevenfold is outdoing all of their butt rock peers. Who wants to hang around the butt rock palace in the first place? Who wants to be there? If she skips the 3-minute long harsh noise intro and Mr. Thug isolation, then she's not the one. My guy, you are gonna have a really fucking hard time finding the one. There's nothing wrong with having standards, though. Nothing wrong with having standards. This individual knows what they want, and they're not willing to compromise for it. And you know what? Godspeed. If you have to re-listen to an album multiple times, like 3 or more times, to call it perfect, then it really isn't perfect. You're just forcing yourself to like it at that point. I don't vibe with this dumbass take. Like, I have to listen to an album sometimes 4 or 5 times just to know how much I dislike it or like it for a review. Like, maybe after a first listen, I can, you know, pretty much like get a good sense of whether or not I'm on the fence with it, or I enjoy it, or I really hate it. But that's not enough exposure to like really discover the nooks and crannies and technical aspects and little details that are actually driving me to feel the way that I feel about the project. To insinuate that listening to an album 3 times is like too many times to get it or figure out how much it appeals to you is kind of ridiculous, honestly. Like, I think that there is a point at which it is excessive. Like, if you're sitting down and forcing yourself to listen to the record 10 fucking times in a row with no breaks, and you're kind of just like shoveling it down your own throat, like, yeah, that's probably too much. If you don't really enjoy the album and you find yourself still giving it a try again and again and again and again for months on end, on and off, week after week, maybe you should kind of give up the after, you know, the 3rd month or so. But like, just 3 fucking times, especially if you're kind of a passionate music fan, to expect that that's too much, man. If you're not like loving the album like crazy and thinking it's perfect off the bat, like, no reason to be listening that much, bro. That's silly. That's silly. You know, point taken. There is a point at which that sort of thing can be excessive. You can be excessive with this sort of thing, like really forcing yourself to like a record, but the line is not here. All right, well, this has been another episode of Let's Argue. My thoughts, my feelings on all of these takes, these questions, these everythings. Yeah, that is it. You can hit this other video next to my head. That would be nice. Subscribe to the channel. Notification bell is cool too. And yeah, hit us in the comments as well if you have any thoughts on anything I said or what anybody else said. Anthony Fantano, Let's Argue forever.